I first heard about paroxysmal nocturnal hemoglobinuria the day before I was given my official diagnosis. I was about 17 years old when I became aware of my symptoms. People were telling me, oh, you look pale, you look tired. And I didn't really pay much attention to it. I put my tiredness down to my busy lifestyle. I got my diagnosis after being in hospital, getting tests done. I had a bone marrow biopsy and blood's done every day.
I remember Jovi being in tears and holding her hand and just trying to be calm.
It was a very rare condition, and I don't think even the doctors knew very much about it, and we certainly knew nothing about it, and it was such a shock. It's difficult to take it all in at the time.
Sometimes it can take years to get to PNH diagnosis because it's rare and doctors aren't always aware of it.
I remember being told that the prognosis was about 5 to 10 years left untreated. I had expected when I went into hospital for them to find a problem and to fix me, and then to come home, not to start this lifelong journey with a chronic condition.
You know, she'd been diagnosed with this, life-threatening disease that was going to change her life, and that was something we were all going to have to deal with.
My main symptoms are fatigue, very overwhelming fatigue, headaches. I get some joint pain, I get abdominal pain, but the fatigue is the big one. I never know how I'm gonna feel on a certain day, so I just have to run with it and hope for the best. I still struggle with figuring out how to manage it, and I feel like there's always something new. Every time I think that I've figured it out, it's so unpredictable, it's so difficult to plan around. I loved my sports. They were my passion, my life since I was 5 years old. I was a competitive gymnast and trampolinist for my entire life. So that was very, very important to me that I kept going. I didn't want my health to make me stop doing what I loved. So I kept going. And gymnastics and trampolining are both very dangerous sports when you can't trust your own body. So eventually I did have to give that up. I definitely have felt isolated from my peers since my diagnosis. Everything that I do, I have to think about how my health is going to affect what I do. And that's just something that my peers don't really have to think about. And that in itself is very isolating. And watching my friends move on to doing things that I want to do and know that I can't is difficult. It wasn't until my master's degree, I think, that my mental health started to go downhill. I was really, really struggling.
She was reluctant to speak to her teachers or her university lecturers about it. She got very stressed, the anxiety set in.
I started having panic attacks around deadlines, and eventually I decided it wasn't worth it and I needed to just take a break. I got some counselling. I thought that was helpful, but it wasn't specialised towards someone with a chronic health condition. I took a break from university for half a year or so before going back and taking longer to do what I needed to do to finish. My support system is made up of my parents and my siblings, mainly. I also use PNH support as much as I can. They're great. I think the main thing with being in contact with the people at PNH support is knowing other people with the same condition as you. I cannot stress enough how important that is and how big a difference that has made to my life. Knowing that I'm not alone.
Sometimes it's difficult to get people to really believe that there's a long-term issue because it's hidden a lot of the time from the public. When she's well, she's pretty buoyant and cheerful and sprightly.
Yes, she is.
Because PNH is so rare, and people don't know anything about it, it's therefore assumed it's not that serious. Like if someone comes up to you and says, I've been diagnosed with diabetes or I've been diagnosed with cancer, people know the seriousness of that and they understand. And it's not like that with a rare condition that nobody knows about. You have to explain everything. People also struggle to understand how everything in the body is linked. And so when I say I've got faulty blood cells, it's difficult for them to understand how having faulty blood cells can cause stones to form in your gallbladder or for your eyes to turn yellow. I think my mum carries most of the burden of supporting me.
You know, it's difficult not to want to wrap her up in cotton wool and keep her at home and keep her safe.
She's the one I'll cry to. She's the one who feels she needs to do everything for me and make sure that I'm okay, and she worries a lot, as does my dad, and he does so much for me as well.
I think we just get strength from each other, from ourselves. And Jovi is very strong.
Yes.
Isn't she?
She is.
It must be very hard to watch me go through the things that I have gone through for both my parents, and I don't know what I would do without them. I love to travel. I have traveled my entire life, and it's another big passion of mine. I would love to travel everywhere, anywhere and everywhere possible. I want to see the whole world. I am worried that there's going to be a time that comes that I'm not going to be able to get any travel insurance to cover me. I think I'm always going to wonder what might have been different if I didn't have PNH. Living with my rare disorder is going to impact on everything in my life. And I've come to terms with that now, and I'm okay with that. There's nothing for me to be embarrassed or ashamed of in my health, so I just kind of flicked that switch and just decided, right, just embrace it. Just be proud of who you are with your PNH and roll with that. When I was diagnosed, I was told that my condition was 1 in a million. I also feel like having a rare condition in itself is such an opportunity to shout it from the rooftops about what the disease is and how it affects you, and the rare voices need to be the loudest to raise awareness. I kind of like to think of it as my superpower. Like, my blood doesn't work, and yet I've still managed to do all of these things in my life since my diagnosis, and I'm so proud of myself for that.